You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to talk about should Bulls fans be optimistic heading into the season about this team, what steps and who has to take those steps for the Bulls to live up to that optimism, and who's going to be the biggest question on that team. All that and more in today's episode of Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Coming off a Bears win, had to go do all my other shows and stuff like that, and we had to finish this off. Me and Hayes wanted to do solo episodes where we talked about what our expectations for the season truly are with this Chicago Bulls team coming up, and should Bulls fans be optimistic coming into this year? And I think here's my thing right now with what my expectations are on the team, where I feel like this team needs to go moving forward, and how I feel like Bulls fans should feel heading into this season. You have a couple of pieces on this team that have a true opportunity to take a step that feels very legitimate in how a roster can be built around them. What I mean by that is, when you look at what Josh Giddey can do in the second year of a system, when you look at what hopefully a healthy Dosunmu can bring to this team, when you look at what the hope is around Matas Buzelis right now and pairing that up with Coby White, with Nikola Vucevic. I've talked about this team in a very similar way the entire time. This is a great team for a star to emerge on. This is a great team for you to have somebody say, you know what, I am going to be a dog. I am going to be that guy. I am going to be able to go out here and dominate night in and night out and help this team find a way to get more wins. And so from that aspect of it, I do think that Bulls fans should be optimistic heading into this season. Now, does that mean that the Bulls will live up to your optimism? Does that mean that the Chicago Bulls will go out there and they will have a phenomenal season and we'll be a 50-win team, and all of a sudden we're in the playoffs and we're talking about beating our chest and here we go, see Red Nation, stand up? No. But right now you have an opportunity heading into this season that you haven't had in seasons prior. Right now, you have an opportunity to go out there and have young players make an impact on the future of what your team can do. And I think that is a reason for optimism. We have Media Day coming up this Tuesday. And I think when you look at this Bulls team right now and how it's constructed, it truly feels like it's a team that has a great, I don't want to say a nucleus, right? Because that's truly a core. But I think you have the pieces around what could be a great nucleus. And I think that takes you a lot of different places. I've talked about this. The way that AK wants to build this team is very much a similarity to what he did with the Denver Nuggets, and how that Denver Nuggets team for years was incredibly competitive. They didn't let you go out there and have anything easy. But it took a Jokic or a Carmelo Anthony showing up for you to be a true contender, for you to be a true difference maker. And I think that you have all of those pieces in place, and that puts you in what should be a fun season for the Chicago Bulls. Now, for the people out there who are, oh my God, you got to go out there and you got to be dominant. You set a championship standard. We're not talking about the 1990s. There is no championship standard here with the Chicago Bulls. There's no championship outlook here with the Chicago Bulls. You're trying to figure it out right now. And it feels like when I look at the Chicago Bulls roster, right, you add Isaac Okoro this offseason. You've got Dosunmu. He was still a part of this. I don't know if he's going to be a true part of the long term of this, but I do think he starts the season as a part of this. Kevin Huerter, as far as a shooter, right? You got Zach Collins. Like, you have guys on this team that fit every single role that you need, and you're just waiting for somebody that's going to step up and take the mantle of that. But starting off in a place, and I think this is very different in the minds of Bulls fans now, because this is how older teams were built. This is not how you build the modern NBA team. The modern NBA team right now, we going out, we spending money, we dropping the bag. We're going to bring in our superstars. We're going to figure out what our superstars need. And then we're probably not going to have any money left because we brought in a bunch of superstars. And so there's just kind of going to be these scraps that are very similar to what they said they needed to go be successful. But you're a superstar, so you should figure it out. The Bulls are doing this the old school way. We're going to let young players develop. We're going to go out and get pieces that fit what we're looking for to run in this system. And then, eventually, while we're being competitive the entire time, we will try and develop somebody into that next level player that goes out there and gives you the star production that you are looking for. And do I think the Bulls have an opportunity to do that this season? Yes, I do. But I think you've gone about this in a different manner of building the team, one that's we're not used to in the modern era. And listen, one that I don't think that AK has been afforded in the time here, but there's been a change. There's been a change in the operation and the mindset of this team. And that mindset is, listen, we're going to go out there and we're going to compete every single night. That is our hope. And eventually we hope something beautiful emerges out of that. That's how the 03 Bulls were. That's how the 07 Bulls were. That's how the 10 Bulls were. Every single night, I'm going to give you everything that I've got. It's going to be worth it for you to pay to come see me. And sometimes we're going to win, sometimes we're going to lose, but we're going to be competitive. Do I love that? No. But what I love is that you've built that team and that it has that opportunity. Like, I think a guy like Josh Giddey, the opportunity with him being paired up with Billy Donovan for a second season, I think is probably one of the more under-talked about things when it comes to the outlook of this team heading into the season. Like, I still have the Bulls as around a 41 to 45 win team this season. But the opportunity for a point guard, very similar to quarterback, to go into a second season with the same system, the same players in that system, understand, okay, this is what me and Coby White built. This is where Coby likes the basketball. I know that about Coby. Let's get the ball to him here. Oh, this is where Matas likes the basketball. This is where he plays his best game. Let's get the ball over here to Matas. And this is where, like, those are things that I think are under talked about in the modern game, because you don't have players stay in the same spot long enough, especially point guards like Josh Giddey. Those guys don't exist in the NBA. And I think when you talk about the impact of having, again, if you want to talk about running it back or paying Josh Giddey what he got paid, which I think is a phenomenal contract, $25 million over 4 years, and it's right at $25 million. When you talk about those things, I think then off of that, Bulls fans should be optimistic when it comes to how everyone, how everyone else's game is going to develop. With a full season of Dosunmu, with a full season of Matas Buzelis, and hopefully all of these guys are healthy, right? Where does their game uptick? Because Matas is one of those guys that it's like, if you run with me, I'll find a way to get you 10 points. Now, again, does optimism mean success is coming? No. Does optimism mean that this Bulls team can't come out and be absolutely hot garbage? No. But with what you have right now and what is in how this player group coming back is going to fit together, I do think that there's a reason for optimism in that. And we'll talk about that moving forward a little bit, because listen, it only makes you optimistic if somebody comes in there and steps up. We 110% know that, right? And so I think that's going to be the biggest thing for this team, is seeing somebody step up. And we'll talk about that coming up next. But first, we do got to give you guys a word from Skims. Dang it. I kid. Big shout out to Skims, man. When I found out about Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you something, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, and just finding the right style for me. You know what I'm saying, fellas? Skims changed it all. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. And when I tried on the Skims boxer briefs, I mean, 5 days a week, you have to know that, you know, little fuller figured fellow over here. Sometimes you get a little bit of that thigh rub, but not with Skims. And these are perfect for my active lifestyle. They move with me. They never lose their shape and stay in place all day, whether I'm working out or just running errands. They're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Plus, their lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com and let them know that Hayes sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select Locked On Bulls in the drop-down menu that follows. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. Welcome back into another edition of Locked On Bulls. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Drop a bear down in the chat for the Bears winning tonight, man. Drop a C-Red in the chat because we're just excited about this season coming up. All right, I talked about should Bulls fans be optimistic and why they should feel some optimism coming into this season. But here's the only way that it works. Here's the only way that being optimistic about the pieces you've brought in and how you've got this collective of guys together and how you're planning on using all these guys works. And there's only one guy that I think on this team can fulfill it. Matas Buzelis has to take a massive step. And listen, sometimes it does take time in the NBA for guys to take that step. But when you identify who you want to be the star of your team, are you going to give him that opportunity? Me and Hayes have differed on this. He feels like it's still going to be more of a team vibe, more of a, you know, everybody kind of get in where they fit in. I think that the Bulls are looking for their superstar player to go out there and be their superstar player. Now, is Matas going to be a superstar player? We'll see. I don't know. I feel like he has the talent and that he has the upside to be a star in this league, and that he showed you a tremendous amount of growth through basically playing a half a season. But truly, that opportunity only happened if you give the guy the keys to go out there and make it happen. And I think the biggest question around that is going to be Billy Donovan this season. Is Billy Donovan going to be a coach who says, hey, we've got something special in Matas. We're going to get him the ball and we're going to focus on his development? Because if you do, and if Matas shows, you know, what you're really looking for from this guy, and I think in the NBA, you know, right? In the NBA, you know early. Very rarely do you get the 6, 7, 8-year guys in the NBA who have been a star on a team and they just kind of been down there, right? Very rarely do you get your 4 years in, you're playing with so many Hall of Famers that we didn't notice that Kawhi Leonard was a freaking demon on the court and is also willing to take backdoor money whenever the opportunity affords him. You know what I mean? Big tree guy. You know what I'm saying? This guy loves a tree. And maybe I'm putting too much pressure on it, and people are going to say, well, Pat, you have to give guys time to develop. Stars show you who they are. How long did it take us to know Anthony Edwards might be a freaking dominant player? How long did it take us to know, wow, Tyrese Halliburton, what a baller this guy is? How long did it take us to know, Jalen Brunson, this guy's a hooper? And those were guys that had other people next to them. Those were guys that had other guys in the building where you went, you know, you got to wait your turn. I'm not going to just give you the keys to the team. I got this guy already on the team. Why would I give you the keys? But you could see it. I've talked about a ton In SGA's rookie season, where he was with the Clippers, I sat there and was like, yo, this dude is a baller. He wasn't playing a ton. I think he was getting like 15 minutes at one point. I think he finished the season getting more points. But every time the ball was in his hand and they let him actually get some shots, he was hooping. Next year with the Thunder, he's balling out with Chris Paul and Billy Donovan next to each other. That third year, you saw the ascension of him. And that was through some losing seasons. But when you got your opportunity and you were the focal point, you instantly went, wow, that guy can play. That guy's a top-tier player in this league. Matas, you ain't got no Hall of Famers next to you. Look around. Look at life. There's no, I mean, maybe it's Vooch. I don't know what he's done internationally. Maybe Vooch does sneak his way into the Hall of Fame. What are Vooch's accomplishments internationally? But outside of that, right? Like, there's nobody standing around you. Two-time All-Star, AP All-American, first team All-Pac-10, second team. Nah, he ain't getting it. There's nobody around you that should be stopping Matas Buzelis from being that guy, or from at least having the opportunity and the shots to go out there and ball out and be that guy. In fact, you have players around you that should accentuate your game in being that guy. When you look at a guy like Josh Giddey, I just talked about in the first segment how he's going to ball out in his second year and how you feel good about him coming in, or second year with the Bulls here, I should say. How you feel good about him coming into this season as a, under Billy Donovan's system for a second year, and how he can help everybody be better players. Matas Buzelis, the key one. Yo, set the pick, run with me. I'm going to throw this thing up. Go get it. Matas and Giddey playing together should have Matas with an easy 7 points at a minimum a game. And then it's about, okay, what can you do on top of that? And usually when the star starts to show, you see it. For years, how often were we arguing that Zach LaVine was a star player? Not a superstar, but a star player. Is he a star? He's a fringe star. Sometimes he's a star. Sometimes he's not a star. Losing his player here. But you never felt 100% this guy's a star. He's the next one. Jimmy Butler starts getting ticked. We go, oh my God, look at this kid. Give him the ball more. And that's how it felt at the end of last year. Right? Like when we were at the end of last season and there were these moments where, it felt like you were trying to put the ball in other people's hands and stuff like that. How many games did you finish going, give Matas the ball? Give him the ball more. I want to see him do more. At least if we lose because you put it in the hand of the player that is getting to the rim at will. Give him the ball more. So my hope for this season, when it comes to this Bulls team, is that the person that takes the step, the person that we're sitting here looking around saying we're going to win or lose based off of how well he does. And listen, there's going to be games where he plays bad and you have to pick him up as a team and yada, yada, yada. But even in those games, right, like who was it last season? I'm trying to remember. Was it Hallie? It might have been Hallie, actually. Well, of course, Hallie in the playoffs, but it was somebody else where it was just like, he's not shooting. And they end up, I can't think of who it was. It's late right now. Of course, Hallie in the playoffs, but was it somebody on OKC? I can't remember right now. It's late. But you just had that, like, he's not shooting the ball. Oh, Jalen Green on Houston. Well, he's not on Houston no more. But Jalen Green on Houston. You were like, yo, he's a star. Give him the ball. Let him shoot. Let him ball. He don't want to shoot. He don't want to take shots. Oh, he might not be that guy. Trade it. Second they saw it, boom, trade it. Didn't even blink. Yes, you got Kevin Durant back, but didn't even blink. And so can Matas Buzelis prove this season, without the shadow of a doubt, you're that guy? That's the guy that I want to see it take a step. We got to talk about who's going to be the biggest question mark coming into this season. I appreciate you guys for showing love as always. We got our biggest, our player who has to take the biggest step. Now, who's going to be the biggest question coming into the year? We'll talk about all that and more coming up next. But first, we got to listen to a word from our sponsors over at FanDuel. NFL season is here. Oh, and it is glorious. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Listen, you guys know I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building same-game parlays, or even jumping in on live action. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download FanDuel right now by going to the App Store and downloading the FanDuel app, or by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. Finishing out the show here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. Late night and people up in here rocking with the episode, man. Shout out to you guys. Let's finish it out with this. Who's going to be the biggest question mark for this Chicago Bulls team coming into this season? And I know this may sound like an answer that is contrary to what the numbers may say, but I've been on this the entire time. For me, I know he's getting better. I know he's improving. I know he's efficient. But can he be that player when the moments and the lights are the brightest? And I'm talking about Coby White. If you listen to the podcast, you guys know how I feel. I think Coby's a phenomenal scorer. I think that what we saw in the second half of last season was a really, really good player that you want to build with. I don't know if it's a player I want to build around, but I'll tell you what, if I got Matas Buzelis and he's balling, and I got Josh Giddey and he's balling, and you're telling me I can have Coby White and he's kind of one of the leading scorers on your team, I feel good about that team. But here's where it continues to concern me with Coby White. And maybe this is just what's the right way to say it? Maybe this is just, he hasn't been in the situation enough or hasn't seen the situation. But when the game don't matter that much, last season versus Washington, when the game don't matter that much, 6 for 11, had 16 points in the game. And of course, this is play-in time, right? 1 for 2. Need a big win that very next game out. Need to go dominate that very next game out. Play-in time. And you just don't see the same numbers. You just don't see a player who goes out there and lets you know, hey, that 35 I just put up, I can do that every night. That 35 that I just dropped on your head, I can do that every single night. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. And I just feel like we're to the point with Coby now, with Josh Giddey in the building, where you're a shooting guard. And so the assist numbers aren't going to be massive for you. The rebounding numbers aren't going to be massive for you. Right? You're essentially our scorer. But the last player that I want Coby White to be, especially when the moments are biggest, is a Chris Middleton type of player. And it feels like when the games have been the biggest and the Bulls have had an opportunity to actually get in past the play-in tournament, you've seen Coby White disappear. You can't pay a player what Coby's looking to be paid, which I think is $30 million, if you don't know in the biggest moments he can give you that 25, 30 points. You can't. You got to find out who your number 2 is. And so I think the beginning of this season is going to be incredibly important, because if he gets off to one of those starts that we've seen him have where he's kind of up and down and he's not showing up in this game, but he plays well in this game and he makes this and it, you got to trade him. You got to trade him. Now, will AK? Probably not. We're going to have the same team regardless. We all know that. But to me, if you're going into another year and the play-in tournament happens and you're going into, first off, avoid the play-in tournament. But in those games, right, you don't see Coby White living up to that hype in the biggest moments where you dominate. Last year in the play-in tournament, 17 points, 5 for 20, 3 for 12 from the three-point line. Didn't shoot it well. The big thing that Coby is right now is a scorer. If you can't score when I need you to score, the logical thing to say would be, I don't need you. And so we'll see. We'll see what Coby White truly ends up being able to do this season. But I think he right now is your biggest question heading into the year. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Be down and talk with you guys as well. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. And big shout out to TR popping up in here. Said, who's that beta? Don't get mad at me because your mom was on 79th doing what she do. Shout out to y'all, man. As always, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation. Big stand up as always. We will be back tomorrow morning, early, bright and early. See Red. Peace.